What's up everybody, and welcome back to the very first tutorial of 2025. And as you can tell, brand new set, brand new equipment here to help elevate our videos for the upcoming year. Now, something from last year that is still haunting us is this quilt behind me. I gave myself a challenge to make a quilt top in under an hour, and I was just shy by a couple of minutes. Because of that, I want to redo that challenge. I'm gonna be using some flannels, and I wanna make the quilt top a little bit more complex. So make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, and let's get started. So I'm going to give you kind of the rules of the game here. I'm going to be using some flannel today from Shadow Play, which I really do like their flannels, and I do like Shadow Play. In addition to that, I'm going to give myself a 60-minute timer, which will appear on screen, and you have to complete the entire quilt top in that amount of time. That does not mean you're binding, does not mean you're backing, does not mean long arming. I'm simply saying, can you make the quilt top in under 1 hour? And I want to make it a little bit more complex than what I've done here. Obviously, I used a layer cake here to help speed up my time, but unfortunately, I just wasn't fast enough. For my cutting instructions today, all I'm gonna need is I need 4 18 by 18 inch squares for my dark, 2 18-inch squares for my mid, 2 18-inch squares from my light, and I need 8 18-inch squares from my background print in this case, which then I'll be turning them into half square triangles. So this will be a half square triangle quilt. Essentially speaking, it's gonna make a jumbo-fied version of a traditional quilt block, which will give it a little bit more complexness to it. It'll also be super soft because it's flannel, and I believe it can be done in under an hour. As far as when the timer starts, it's gonna start as soon as I make my first cut. I'm gonna give myself 60 minutes from the moment I make the cut to finishing the last seam there. So I'm all ready to make my very first cut. I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer. Now some of you are gonna be asking, like, why 18-inch squares? Because if you have fat quarters, you'll be able to get the same cuts that I'm getting here. Hopefully I've done my math right on all these. So that should be all I need of that one. That should be all I need of that one. Because it's a challenge, it also makes it difficult because if you spend too much time thinking about it, you will not get it done in time. And guys, this is just a fun one, especially for charity-based projects. That way you can make something like this or the quilt I'm currently making in less than an hour and do a good deed all at the same time. We have officially broke 3 minutes at the moment. So now that I've cut all my strip sets out, I need to subcut them down to be 18 inches square because they're only 18 inches wide currently. My first set of squares, I'm gonna go ahead and do that to all of them. And we are looking at just under 6 minutes down. That should be a completion of all the cutting I need to do, at least at the moment. And what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to line these up, and we're making half square triangles. I'm going to take my light color and pair it up with one of my dark colors. We gotta get this right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and make these little sandwiches, or right sides together, on all of my pieces. And I am just hit 10 minutes down. So I still have 50 minutes left to make this. And because I'm doing half square triangles, there is going to be a little bit of squaring up that I'll have to do, or else this thing would just look really wonky. Now, as far as marking goes, I'm gonna be using a 24-inch ruler and marking corner to corner, but I think with this size, I don't even think a 24-inch ruler will make it all the way across. It's close, but it doesn't make it. So I'm gonna use a second ruler, and I'm gonna mark a line on all of these. Just like so. I'm going to repeat this to all of them. And if anyone's not understanding how I'm doing this, I'm essentially putting my two rulers together, which gives me just a little bit extra room. And I'm marking down one side, putting these two back together, moving the other one, marking down the other side. And I'm trying to keep everything as uniform as possible. So they are all marked at this point, 1/4 inch seam on both sides of the line, traditional half square triangle. Keeping this train rolling here. First half square triangle sewn, we're gonna just keep rolling through them. The last one of these has been sewn. Now I'm going to cut directly down the middle like you would normally a half square triangle. I'm going to just fold these right on top of each other, that way I keep my colors together. At this point, I'm going to have to iron these so I can get a really nice square block here. I'm going to iron to the dark side. Maywood Studio makes such a good flannel, just such a good product. It just takes the heat perfectly, and I can open those up quickly, which is fantastic. We're about to hit the halfway point in our time. Fortunately for me, most of my half square triangles came out pretty square. And so I'm going to just double check them for square. And I'm going for about a 17.5 inch quilt block here. And I'm going to just kind of true up the sides here a little bit. So very, very minimal cutting here. So just a simple cleanup there. And I mean, like, these came out pretty square, as in like they came out pretty square, which I'm happy about. So we're down to 27 minutes at the moment. We're halfway through trimming up our blocks, and it took 5 minutes. So I think this is gonna leave us 20 minutes to sew up our quilt. As long as I don't make a mistake, miscut right now. So guys, I have got my darks, my medium, and my light all the way done. As I'm building this out, I have a reference point over there that I'll be referring to. But essentially speaking, I'm going to be doing a star block with the corners, almost like a snowball effect on all the corners here. Using my dark as my center, then I'm going to mix up kind of like a 50-50 with the light and the mid-tones around, making my star points. And then, like I said, a little snowball in this darker color at the end. Due to the way that I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and go right into sewing as well. Timer is at 19 and 3 seconds. Hopefully in the next 19 minutes and 3 seconds, we can have a finished quilt top. Let's do this. I want to put a diamond right here in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and start sewing. Take these right sides together. I'm gonna sew all the way down a 1/4 inch seam. So I have 16 blocks to sew together into blocks and then into rows. So we will see. First half of the diamond done. I'm gonna repeat this exact same step to the other side. And guys, points might not be 100% perfect, but it's gonna be a beautiful quilt in the end. And now I'm gonna sew these together to complete the diamond. Diamond complete here. I'm gonna set this aside and now work on my colors. So now for the rest of my pieces, all I'm going to do is sew them in sets of 2 to make like half a triangle. Sew them all in sets of 2, both lights and my mids. And I've got 15 minutes and 30 seconds to do so. Number 1 done. Going on to number 2. So my lights, or sorry, my mids are done. I'm gonna do the same thing to my lights. Last one of those. Now we gotta go back to our diamond. We gotta put on points on each side. I'll put lights on these sides here. Starting to turn into a quilt real fast. Gotta pull out those center seams there a little bit, but we'll do that in the ironing process, which luckily in this quilt is all done at the very, very end. Pretty good there. Now it's time to attach the sides here. And guys, it's not gonna be 100% perfect because we are on a time crunch. It's part of the challenge, part of the fun of it. And so I need my corners to be like this. I'm down to under 10 minutes. Now I gotta make sure I put this on correctly. And something that could ruin this whole thing for me is if I run out of bobbin. Now I know that piece was just put on, so I've got one final section to do. I've got like 5 minutes left. I think I'm gonna make it this time. Four minutes and like 30 seconds, something like that's left. So let's send this thing home. Now guys, I'm gonna press this out as much as I can in the next 3 minutes that I have left, and then we'll do a grand reveal.
Uh-oh. Comments rolling in now.
I know. And guys, just like that, a quilt in 1 hour. Super stoked for this that we, here the beeper just beeped. Super stoked that we were able to do this in 1 hour, but that is not the moral of this story. Obviously, this quilt is never designed to be perfect. This was a very, very fast-paced tutorial, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw it up here behind me. That way you can see, obviously there are gonna be some flaws in it, but I've got a little message for everyone regarding this quilt. So guys, obviously, once you display it, not all my points are absolutely perfect, but I could have spent more time on those to make them perfect. But that is not what this is about. 2025 is a brand new year. You're gonna have brand new goals, you're gonna have brand new achievements that you want to do. And so I wanna just take 1 second and talk about those. One of the big things here at Sew Yeah that's super important to us is service, right? And so this is my invitation to everyone to do a little service project this year. Make a quilt for somebody that you know. Maybe make a quilt for a project in your area. We do an Alaskan quilt drive every year. Lots of opportunity here. And a quilt just like this, although it's not perfect, will keep somebody warm. So in 2025, what service can you do, or what more can you do for your community? Maybe for your church, maybe for your family. That is a personal goal that you guys can set that will always be the best one of the year. Now, what I'm going to do here is finish up this quilt, have it long arm, have it bound, and then donate it to either something locally here, or if I can't find something local, to the Alaska Quilt Drive of 2025. As always, down in the description below is our website, sewyeahquilting.com. Additionally there, if you like the purple quilt that you see in this video, we'll leave the link there to watch that video as well when I failed the 1 hour challenge. And once again guys, thank you so much for watching and for the constant support. We hope you have a wonderful new year and an amazing 2025.